1.3, right? So what I have here is this expression, this equation and that equation, and then I need to solve both of them simultaneously, right? So what comes to my mind is I can already see this x, right? It has an invincible one here, so it's a -1, which means that I can make this the subject of the formula, right? And then when I make this the subject of the formula, I'm going to substitute wherever I see x into this equation, right? So that's what I'm going to do, right? So I'm going to say -3y equals to 1 minus x. I'm going to call this equation 1, right? And then x squared minus 2xy minus y squared minus 7 equals to 0, equation 2, right? And then now I'm going to solve this. So it's going to be, when I transpose this and it comes the other side, it's going to be x is equals to 1 plus 3y. So essentially what I have is x is equals to 3y plus 1, and I can call this equation 3, right? So now I have 3 equations, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute equation 3 into equation 2, right? So I do this with the intention of what? Of finding y, right? So wherever I see x, I'm going to substitute this, right, into that. So yeah, let's do that. So now what I'm going to have is 3y plus 1 all squared minus 2 into 3y plus 1 times y, right, minus y squared minus 7 equals to 0. So this is difference of 2 squares. I can expand the brackets. 3y plus 1, 3y plus 1 minus, so I can solve this, and it's going to be 3y squared plus y minus y squared minus 7 equals to 0. So here I'm going to have to multiply this bracket out, right? I'm going to have to say 3y times this times that, right? And then this times that, right? So let's do that. Let's use a different color. So it's going to be 9, right? It's going to be 9y squared plus 3y plus 3y plus 1, right? Then I can still simplify this further and say minus 6y squared minus 2y minus y squared minus 7 equals to 0, right? So this and that are like terms, so it's going to be plus 6y. So what I can do here, I can already simplify this, right? So yeah, let me use this one. So this, right, and that are like terms, and then also this are like terms. This one is also a like term, and these ones are like terms, and then the other like term, which I'm going to write in a box, right? So 9 minus 6 is going to be 3, right? Minus 1, it's going to be 2, right? So 9 minus 3, and in 9 minus 6 is going to be 3, minus 1 is 2. So I am going to have 2y squared, right? And then I'm going to have 3y plus 3y, 6y, minus 2y, it's going to be 4. So it's going to be 4y. So 1 minus 7, so 1 minus 7, it's going to be minus 6, equals to 0. So here I can divide by 2 everything, right? I can divide everything by 2. So what I'm going to be left with is going to be y squared plus 2y minus 3 equals to 0, right? So I want the factors of, so here I'm gonna want the factors of 3 that are going to give me positive 2, right? So I have 3 here, so it's going to be 3 and 1, right? So which one should be negative? This one should be negative, and this one should be positive, because 3 minus 1 is going to be 2. So this is going to be 2y. So this is how I'm going to simplify this. So I'm going to have y, right? So it's going to be plus 3 minus 1. So y is going to be equals to 1, or y is equals to minus 3, right? And then from there, I'm going to substitute this. Right, into x. So I'm going to substitute the values of y into 3, right? So I'm going to substitute y equals to 1 and y equals to minus 3. Let's just use or into equation 3, right? So equation 3 was x is equals to 3y plus 1, 3y plus 1. So now is x is going to be, so wherever I see y, I'm going to substitute 1. So I'm going to start with 1, this one. I'm going to start with this one, right? So it's going to be 3 into 1 plus 1, which is x is equals to 3, which is going to be 4, right? And then the second one, it's going to be this one, right? So it's going to be x equals to 3y plus 1, and then x is equals to 3 into negative 3 plus 1. So negative 3 times negative 3, 3 times negative 3, it's going to be negative 9 plus 1, it's going to be negative 8. Right, so these are your answers. So these are going to be your answers. Right. So now let's look at another question. I think